Is anyone on the call? Is anyone online?
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and all glories to our Gurudevs.
Oh, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Ruji Mataji. It looks like it's me and you. It's 5:06. Should we begin with prayer?
I think so, yeah, we should do it
I
and
think so
then.
too. Okay. Om Jnana Tirandasya Jananjana Salakaya Chakshurmilitanyana Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistan Stapitanyana Bhutale Swayam Rupa Katarmayam Patantikam Panchakopatirubhyacha Kripa Sindhu Paevacha Pititanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Did you want to read? Do you know where we're at? I believe it's
I
Canto
think
4, Chapter 3,
I think we are
Text
on 20.
23. Hmm?
I think so, 23, yes.
So again, it's Canto 4, Chapter 3, Text 23. And did you want to read?
You can read and I can, after like a little bit because it's a long purport, I can join after you
Okay.
are.
Okay. Sattvam Visudam Vasudeva Sattvitam Yadidyate Tatra Puman Parvitaha Sattvacha Tasmin Bhagavan Vasudevo Hirad Hiyadhokshazo Menamasa Vidhiyate. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada. I am always engaged in offering obeisances to Lord Vasudeva in pure Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is always pure consciousness, in which the Supreme Personality of Godhead, known as Vasudeva, is revealed without any covering. So this is Lord Shiva talking to his wife, I believe. Purport. The living entity is constitutionally pure. Asango Hiyam Purushaha. In the Vedic literature, it is said that the soul is always pure and uncontaminated by material attachment. The identification of the body with the soul is due to misunderstanding. As soon as one is fully Krishna conscious, it is to be understood that one is in his pure, original constitutional position. This state of existence is called Suddha Sattva, which means that it is transcendental to the material qualities. Since the Suddha Sattva existence is under the direct action of the internal potency, in this state the activities of material consciousness stop. For example, when iron is put into a fire, it becomes warm, and when red hot, although it is iron, it acts like fire. Similarly, when copper is surcharged with electricity, Its action is copper stops. It acts as electricity. Bhagavad Gita 14.26 also confirms that anyone who engages in unadulterated devotional service to the Lord is at once elevated to the position of pure Brahman. Mam chayo vyabhicharena bhakti yogana sevata sagunan samitatyaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. There, Sudasattva, as described in the verse, is the transcendental position, which is technically called Vasudev. Vasudev is also the name of the person from whom Krishna appears. This verse explains that the pure state is called Vasudev because in that state, Vasudev, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is revealed without any covering. To execute unadulterated devotional service, therefore, one must follow the rules and regulations of devotional service without desire to gain material profit by fruitive activities or mental speculation. Read a little bit more.
I can read if you want to.
I'll read half the paragraph and then you can pick up, okay? In pure devotional service, one simply serves the personality of Godhead as a matter of duty, without reason and without being impeded by material conditions. That is called Sudasattva or Vasudeva, because in that stage, the Supreme Person, Krishna, is revealed in the heart of the devotee. Srila Jiva Goswami has very nicely described this Vasudeva or Sudasattva in his Bhagavat Sandarbha. He explains that Astottara Satta 108 is added to the name of the spiritual master to indicate one who is situated in Sudasattva or in the transcendental state of Vasudeva. The word Vasudeva is also used for other purposes. For example, Vasudeva also means one who is everywhere or all pervading. The sun is also called Vasudev's Sabditam. The word Vasudev may be utilized for different purposes, but whatever purpose we adopt, Vasudeva means all-pervading or localized Supreme Personality of Godhead. Do you want to begin there? It's the red Bhagavad Gita to the very right in
Yeah.
Bhagavad Gita.
There is, yes, in Bhagavad Gita, it is also stated Vasudev Sarvam Iti. Factual realization is to understand Vasudev, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and surrender unto Him. Vasudev is the ground wherein Vasudev, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is revealed. When one is free from the contamination of material nature and is situated in pure Krishna consciousness, or in the Vasudev state, Vasudev, the Supreme Person, is revealed. This state is also called Kaivalya, which means pure consciousness. Jnanam Sattvikam Kaivalyam. When one is situated in pure transcendental knowledge, one is situated in Kaivalya. Therefore, Vasudev also means Kaivalya, a word which is generally used by impersonalists. Impersonal Kaivalya is not the last stage of realization. In Krishna consciousness Kaivalya, when one understands the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then one is successful in that pure state by hearing, chanting, remembering, etc. Because of the development of knowledge of the science of Krishna, one can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All these activities are under the guidance of the internal energy of the Supreme Lord. The action of the internal potency is also described in this word as apavrata, free from covering, free from any covering. Because the Supreme Personality of Godhead, His name, His form, His quality, His paraphernalia, etc., being transcendental, are beyond material nature, it is not possible to understand any of them with the materialistic senses. When the senses are purified by the discharge of pure devotional service, Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Uchyate, the pure senses can see Krishna without covering. Now one may inquire that since factually the devotee has the same material existential body, how is it possible that the same materialistic eyes become purified by devotional service? The example as stated by Lord Chaitanya is that devotional service cleanses the mirror of the mind. In a clean mirror one can see one's face very distinctly. Similarly, simply by cleansing the mirror of the mind one can have a clear conception of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is stated in Bhagavad Gita, Abhyas Yoga Yuktena, by executing one's prescribed duties in devotional service, Chetasa Nanya Gamina, or simply by hearing about God and chanting about Him, if one's mind is always engaged in chanting and hearing and is not allowed to go elsewhere, one can realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead as confirmed by Lord Chaitanya by the Bhakti Yoga process. Beginning from hearing and chanting, one can cleanse the heart and mind, and thus one can clearly see the face of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, now somebody can read. I guess you can read again.
Oh, you don't want to continue? Okay.
Hare Krishna.
I have voice fatigue, and after one paragraph, I can read again.
Okay.
This is Govardhan Leela. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada. Forgive me for being late, Matajis. I had to take an important phone call. I'm sorry.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Okay.
Krishna.
Do you have your book open? Did you want? It's the last
Oh, yes,
paragraph.
Mataji. Where are we? Did we start?
Yeah, we're 423. 423, no, 4323. We're on the last paragraph. Why don't are you there?
I'm here, Mataji.
Are you, do you have the place there?
You mean Lord Shiva said?
Yes.
Okay. You wanted me to read?
Go ahead and read.
Okay, thank you. Lord Shiva said that since his heart was always filled with the conception of Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because of the Supreme Lord's presence within his mind and heart, he was always offering obeisances unto that Supreme Godhead. In other words, Lord Shiva is always in trance, samadhi. This samadhi is not under the control of the devotee. It is under the control of Vasudeva. For the entire internal energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead acts under his order. Of course, the material energy also acts by his order, but his direct will is specifically executed through the spiritual energy. Thus, by his spiritual energy, he reveals himself. It is stated in Bhagavad Gita 4:6, Sambhavami Atma Mayaya. Atma Mayaya means internal potency. By his sweet will, he reveals himself by his internal potency, being satisfied by the transcendental loving service of the devotee. The devotee never commands, my dear Lord, please come here so that I can see you. It is not the position of the devotee to command the Supreme Personality of Godhead to come before him or to dance before him. There are many so-called devotees who command the Lord to come before them dancing. The Lord, however, is not subject to anyone's command, but if he is satisfied by one's pure devotional activities, he reveals himself. Therefore, a meaningful word in this verse is adhokshaya, for it indicates that the activities of our material senses will fail to realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One cannot realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead simply by the attempt of one's speculative mind. But if one desires, he can subdue all the material activities of his senses. And the Lord, by manifesting his spiritual energy, can reveal himself to the pure devotee. Let me read that again there. And the Lord, by manifesting his spiritual energy, can reveal himself to the pure devotee. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead reveals himself to the pure devotee, the devotee has no other duty than to offer him respectful obeisances. The Absolute Truth reveals himself to the devotee in his form. He is not formless. Vasudeva is not formless. For it is stated in this verse that as soon as the Lord reveals himself, the devotee offers his obeisances. Obeisances are offered to a person, not to anything impersonal. One should not accept the Mayavada interpretation that Vasudeva is impersonal. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, prapadyate, one surrenders to a person, not to impersonal non-duality. Whenever there is a question of surrendering or offering obeisances, there must be an object of surrender or obeisances. Thank you.
Thank you. Leila Manjri, did you want to read the next verse?
Sure. 4:324. Tatte nirikshayo na patapi dehakrit daksho mama tvat tat anuvartaschaye yo vishvasarga yagyagatam varorumam anagasam durvacha shakarotiraha. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Therefore, you should not see your father, although he is the giver of your body, because he and his followers are envious of me. Because of his envy, O most worshipable he has insulted me with cruel words, although I am innocent. Purport. For a woman, both the husband and the father are equally worshipable. The husband is the protector of a woman during her youthful life, whereas the father is her protector during her childhood. Thus, both are worshipable, but especially the father, because he is the giver of the body. Lord Shiva reminded Sati, your father is undoubtedly worshipable, even more than I am, but take care, for although he is the giver of your body, he may also be the taker of your body. Because when you see your father, he may insult you because of your association with me. An insult from a relative is worse than death, especially when one is well situated. Actually,
Mataji's,
we
I
can read
don't think
25
I
also.
wrote down text 25.
Yeah, because 25 does not have any purport. Maybe we can, someone can read 25 also and we can finish the chapter.
I can read it.
Yes, I made a mistake. I'm sorry about that.
Sure. Ruchi Mataji?
Yeah, I'll read it.
Sure.
Yadi Vrajisya Atihaya. Hold on, let me close the door. यदि प्रचिसयाथियो मध्वचो भद्रं भव्यता न ततो भविष्यति संभावित सन्धा वृत्तस्य स्वजनत् पराभवो यदा स सद्यो मरणाय कल्पते. Translation: If in spite of this instruction you decide to go neglecting my words, the future will not be good for you. You are most respectable, and when you are insulted by your relative, this insult will be equal to death. Purport: Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the fourth canto, third chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Talks between Lord Shiva and Sati.
Did you want to start, Ruchi Mataji?
Um, the explanation. Okay, yeah. Let me open my book since it's not clear over here. Just give me a second. Okay, yes. Um, so here Shiva is saying that how he is always engaged in the worship of Lord Krishna, and um, in, he is always in pure Krishna consciousness, and in which the Supreme Personality of Godhead, known as Vasudeva, is revealed without any covering. That means also that he is like these days we have the um, system where people doubt that there is a thing called telepathy, but one can actually communicate in spirit with like how in prayer we communicate in spirit with the divine, and so similarly in samadhi he is always situated in that consciousness where he is always absorbed in Krishna consciousness, and so he's always like in contact with him. So the soul is pure and so because it is only possible. Uh, so why we cannot uh, communicate so clearly with God or that divine consciousness is because we are covered by material senses, and always we are under delusion because we have been uh, brought into this material world to learn about like our mistakes and realize our mistake and go back to God. So basically, these coverings or these five senses of hearing and seeing, also the mind, which is identifying with the false ego and thinking constantly one thought after the other. Like how if one tries to meditate, one sees that mind is jumping from one thought to the other. But Shiva is not like that. His mind is always single-mindedly fixed in the divine consciousness. And we have to note here that Vasudev here means also uh, the God who is present everywhere, who is Shuddha Sattva, which means that he is everywhere. How we say in the Bible that the Son and Father and the Holy Spirit. So something like that, where he is everywhere and nothing is hidden from him. So, like, um, so yeah, the identification of the body is due to misunderstanding, and this state of existence is called Shuddha Sattva, where where one is in the pure original constitutional position, that state of existence is called Shuddha Tattva. But the identification of the body with the soul is due to misunderstanding, where we have all these relationships which we think are our own, and we identify with them, and we seem to get affected by the insults and uh, by people's reactions, and also how people perceive us and how we perceive them. It is all a game of material energy, but it is not. But when the soul leaves the body, it is in its pure form and it is not affected by the material energy. So this state of existence is called Shuddha Sattva, which means that it is transcendental to the material qualities. Since this Shuddha Sattva existence is under the direct action of the internal potency, in this state, the activities of material consciousness stop. So, for example, when iron is put into fire, it becomes warm, and when red hot, although it is iron, it acts like fire. So similarly, when copper is charged with electricity, its action of copper stops, it acts as electricity. So when we are in, uh, like how Shiva is in samadhi with the divine consciousness, then the distinction between him and the supreme is lost, and they are one and another. So, so how when one offers, but we cannot be in the position of that samadhi. That has been mentioned later, that we cannot uh, be in that state of samadhi because it is not controlled by a person. That, let's say, we want to just meditate like Shiva and go into samadhi and but that is not possible because it is actually controlled by Vasudev, who who Vasudev Krishna, who is like so he controls that samadhi. So it is not possible for us to be in that divine state. But when we do devotional service, which is without unadulterated meaning, which is without the any desire or results, then uh, one is elevated to the position of pure Brahman, where one is pure consciousness and one is not affected by the material energy. Then how we say that only uh, service of Krishna can elevate us or get us free from the material energy. So similarly, uh, only the service to the Lord can elevate us to the position of Brahman. Uh, Now here it is the same thing where it's been described. Um, so here it is written that Vasudev is also the name of the person from which Krishna appears. One must follow the rules and regulations of devotional service without desire to gain material profit by fruitive activities or mental speculation. So one must follow the rules and regulations of devotional service without desire to gain material profit by the fruitive activities. So only when, like I said, only when the service is without any desires, good or bad, no matter what they be, and without any desires for oneself and without any desire for elevation, then um, we have to follow the rules and regulations without desire to gain material or so yeah, that is just that point being enhanced. And So, in the pure devotional service, we simply serve the Supreme Personality as a matter of duty without reason and without being impeded by material conditions. So, it is very normal. Sometimes a person doesn't feel like it, like how you people chant. I can chant so much at all actually. So many times one doesn't feel like chanting. It's like I'm not saying about myself, but just doing any service. Sometimes there are doubts in the mind. Sometimes one doesn't feel like it. Sometimes there are other um, material impediments. But if one can continue to do that duty without much thinking of the mind, without engaging the mind when it's strong or when um, material conditions such as grief or bereavement or anything that might occur when a person is not affected by those and continues to do his duty then to the Supreme Lord, then uh, it is called pure devotional service. This is called Shuddha Tattva or Vasudev because it is that state that in that stage he is revealed in the heart of the devotee. Shuddha Tattva is Bhagavad Sandarbha. He explains that Ashtotar Sat is added to the name of the spiritual master to indicate one who is situated in the transcendental state of Vasudeva. It is also Vasudha also one who is everywhere, and so the sun is called Vasudev Sabditam. The word Vasudev may be utilized for different purposes. It means God for vegan. Actual realization is to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead and surrender to Him. So, your consciousness is also used by impersonalists. That is pure consciousness, Kevalya, which many times we hear in worship of or stutis of Shiva. We worship him as in the form of Kevalya. That word is used many times in Shiv Puran and other stutis because that means he is pure consciousness. Because he is unaffected by material energy. So, so impersonal Keval is not the last stage of realization. Um, so in the impersonalists, they actually consider that to be the end of their spiritual goal because how we see in Buddhism, that is actually what a person is aiming for through meditation is to achieve that state of pure consciousness where one is not affected by dualities of the material energy and one realizes everything is temporary and all this is just mm, is just a play of Maya. That's why when Buddha meditates, he says that anybody can reach that state through meditation when one focuses on the inside and um, realizes that everything is temporary, then one will achieve that state after long practice. But um, in Krishna consciousness, that is not the end stage because we are not impersonalists. We, are, we think of the Supreme Personality as a person, of Godhead as a person, and so we are trying to serve Him. And that through serving Him, we can purify our senses instead of taking the long route of purifying ourselves through the reactions of the material energy, a person takes the quicker route of purifying the senses through devotional service.
Thank you, Mataji, for for talking about
If
this.
somebody else, yeah, somebody else wants to reconnect. What are you saying? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
I was just thanking you, and I thought maybe someone else would like to speak.
Yeah, yeah, sure, sure. Yeah, I'm
Thank you.
kind of tired and grumpy too. So yeah, somebody else. It's been I've already been for a long time. So yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I'll speak since nobody else is speaking right now. So I just went back to that paragraph, and I just wanted to know the different ways that the word Vasudev is being used, and so I jotted down 4. I just kind of want to review that, and then I'll have another few things to say. Number 1 is one of the ways to use the word is pure, to use it to describe pure devotional services as a matter of duty
I'm
without
sorry.
reason.
Which word are you saying? Which word are you describing?
Vasudev,
Oh,
Vasudev,
okay, yeah, yeah.
yeah. Because it gave a couple different definitions. So one of the ways to use it is to describe pure devotional service as a matter of duty without reason, without impeded material conditions. Okay, a second way is to describe the Lord as one who is everywhere. A third one was to describe the sun. They say Vasudev Sadvitan. And the fourth one is to describe a situation where there's pure consciousness or Kevalya. And I was just thinking about what you were saying about we're not, at least myself, I speak for myself, in the Vasudev, pure consciousness. And so, of course, at times there are times when we just don't want to chant. And so I was just going to ask everybody, when you come to that position where, okay, our will is I guess bucking against Krishna, and we're like, oh, I just don't feel like chanting right now. What is it that you do to get yourself to a point where okay, this is what I need to do, and this is what I'm going to chant. So I guess I'm just going to ask roundabout if you want to share. When you come to that position where you don't want to chant, what is it that you do to come around so that you chant, and you're not just doing it methodically, but you're doing it in a way that is, I read something that says, don't just chant when we chant. Don't just chant the holy name, but you should serve the holy name. So I'm just wondering, how do you come to that position when maybe you just don't even want to chant, like you shared, Ruchi Mataji. I thought maybe we can just answer that question if you want to. Govardhan Leela, Leela Manjari. Maybe we can share, and then Ruchi as well.
Well, Mataji's, I've come to that state a few times where I just didn't want to chant. And I started to see changes in my life, and I wasn't too pleased with the results of what was going on in my life. as a result of not chanting. My life felt so empty without chanting, without that. This is the few times that I've gone through this. Well, at least two or three times I've gone through it since I came years ago, where I just didn't want to chant at all. One time I was overwhelmed. In fact, it was this very last time I became overwhelmed in my services, even though it might not be a lot of service to other people. It was too much for me. And I just got angry, and I just wanted to throw the towel in, and just say, I'm going to do what I want, and I'm not going to chant. And there was nothing to my life without the chanting. And that was just a few days of it. And I came right back to it. Of course, how did I get back to it? Believe it or not, I wrote to Guru Maharaj, and he actually called me from Croatia, and we had a conversation. And, he said, you just chant. He said, I don't care if you chant 1 round a day. That's okay. I don't care if it's 2 rounds. He said, just chant with feelings and listen to every sound vibration. And, it got me right back on, I guess, just being in contact with Guru Maharaj. Another time was when, in the beginning, I think this was way before initiation, I just got in this slump. And I walked away for a couple of months. There were people giving, I don't know what the word is. I got into some bad association. And that was another time when I didn't want to chant anymore. And even then, before initiation and all that, I found that my life was empty. And so I decided that, that has to come first. And even though, the only time it's not the very first thing I do in the day is when I'm not feeling well, because I do have a tendency, I need a lot of sleep. And that's the only time it won't be the first thing done in the day. But other than that, it's the first thing I do every day, because it's the most important, and it's knowing that I'm associating with Krishna, and he fills my life. And without him, I have no life. So that's basically what brought me back to the desire to chant with feelings and love and serve the holy name. And I'm not saying I do it perfectly, but I'm getting there. I'm trying. So that's it. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. That was beautiful. Leela Manjari, did you want to share it all? Are you busy?
Yes. Actually, I there was like after my initiation, there was no period of time like when I stopped chanting by Krishna's mercy, but there were very like lengthy periods where I didn't feel like chanting. I chanted even though I didn't feel like chanting. And this went on for years and years and years where I didn't feel like chanting, but I was chanting. So then I got some very good association, and I was able to like help myself out of that situation. And what my discoveries were as I got this good association was that chanting becomes very difficult if we are not paying attention to what we are saying and what we are doing. If the mind is elsewhere, and if just the mouth is going, then we may feel as if we are chanting, but that kind of chanting is very mechanical and boring, and it It literally becomes a burden. But as Govardhan Leela Mataji was also saying, that if we bring our devotion, if we bring our feelings to the chanting of Krishna's holy name, then it really nurtures us. It nurtures our life. It just makes um, everything more beautiful, more pleasant. And we also receive a lot of Krishna's mercy. Prabhupada is saying here in this purport, he's saying, if one's mind is always engaged in chanting and hearing and is not allowed to go elsewhere. So this is actually one of the keys. When we are chanting, if the mind is floating in different spaces, then that chanting becomes mechanical and boring, and we won't feel like chanting anymore. But if the same mind is brought to Krishna as we are chanting, that means we are at least we are hearing the holy name as we chant. Then Prabhupada is saying one can realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we may not be seeing Krishna face to face at our point, but definitely the internal potency of the Lord, she starts acting on us. Then we will feel more like associating with devotees. We will feel like reading Srimad Bhagavatam. We'll feel like going for service at the temple. We'll feel like chanting. And, so that's the effect, and then also on the other side, like I noticed when I chant properly, I don't have to keep looking at my phone. I don't have to sometimes, like when I don't chant properly, I feel depressed and very agitated in my mind, and I feel like eating throughout the day, or just browsing through the computer and wasting my time. Like I see all this, like as my chanting goes up and down. um, so this is how I have experienced it. But it's only a matter of reorienting ourselves to Krishna. So the more we become attentive while chanting, chanting becomes much easier and more relishable. So that's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, so I want to respond as well to what Ruchi said. I think that, quite like Govardhan Leela said, that, Guru's a big part of it as well. He has asked us all to to chant in the morning, and I think the very fact of putting a structure to it helps me. Whether it was 10 years ago or now, just putting a structure and saying, okay, this is when I'm going to chant. And it's not like if I'm going to chant, it's this is the time where I'm going to chant. So giving it a structure. So like as Ruchi, we have Mangalarti in the morning, and we've got, chanting even before that. And we do chanting after Mangalarti. Like I just tell myself, this is my time to be with Krishna, and I try to make it meaningful, and it's really a struggle at times. Just to really, really realize as I'm chanting that Krishna is there. I mean, I have to just pull myself, I'll be chanting and then my mind will it's not, with me, not as much that it goes here and there and I'm thinking about all different things. It's at times I just catch myself like disengaging the emotional component to it. Just, you know, as if there was no person in front of me. And that's where I am really trying to improve, you know, but yeah, I do. I mean, I see when I'm chanting nicely, you know, Krishna, I can tell Krishna is there. And when I disengage emotionally, it becomes like Leela Mandri said, like a chore. So it's just a matter of me just always telling myself, and I really like that quote I heard somewhere, that don't just chant the name, you need to serve the name. And that makes me feel like it gives me more of a purpose, I think, to chant it, you know, when we're talking with others or whatever, you know, just having conversation, a lot of times you know, it's very light. And just to pull away from that, you know, not fully fully being present there, to serve. I just try to always, you know, keep that in mind, that I need to serve the name, that Krishna is right there. And so between putting a structure, trying to follow Gurudev's his instruction, trying to please him, trying to please Krishna, always trying, you know, keeping that at the forefront of my mind. I'm trying, why else am I doing it? It's a waste of time otherwise. You know, I'm trying to please Krishna. And so it's just pulling myself back to that consciousness as I'm chanting his name. So I just thought it would be nice to hear. How about you? I know you started talking about it, and that's what made me want to ask this question, Ruchi. I don't know if you want to respond, or if you said enough when you were saying it earlier. Hare Krishna. I think she's still on. Ruchi Mataji, did you want to respond to this?
Yeah, thanks for all the input and contributions. Yes, um, I'll try to keep that in mind and slowly try to um, get back to chanting. Yeah, I used to do that in India.
If we only truly realize that he's right there in that name, oh my gosh, we'd be chanting 24 hours a day. I mean, to know that the Lord is right there in his name. I mean, it's why wouldn't we be chanting 24 hours a day if we knew that it took us right to Krishna? Yeah. Okay. I didn't mean to put you on the spot or anything. I just thought that this was something that was relevant to us all, Ruchi. And I care deeply enough for you that I just wanted for maybe you to get insight in this.
No, thanks a lot for for like saying that. It helps a lot. So try to
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, this is Premarasa Devidasi. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada. Just wanted to thank you all for the nice discussion. So, thank you all very much.
I'm sorry, I didn't know you were on, or I would have asked you as well.
No, Mataji, I didn't have that much to share. I was just happy to hear you all reading and then discussing. So,
Okay. Should we end here? 6 o'clock. Unless someone else has something to say.
Mataji.
Oh, I think that was very nice discussion today. Thank you very much, all of you. Again, always for being here for me and for all of us. It's important for us to have this association and to, to hear how everybody's doing with their chanting, because, it's the only way we can improve it. Sometimes we need to hear those certain inspiration,
And thank you for being brave enough to begin the discussion, Governor Leela. Thank you.
Thank you. It's nothing, it's just that what is there to, I don't know. For me, there's nothing to hide or really lie about or anything. It's like the sooner I talk about the reality of what's going on, the more I can improve, that's all.
Yeah, exactly.
So, anyway, thank you very much, everyone. I'm going to get going.
Okay.
Srila Prabhupada ki.
Yay.
Jai. Jai.
Hare Krishna.